Okay, welcome back to the Nimitz build, and we are working on the vehicles. And in the last video, we did one of these. Again, remember the wheels are going later because I'm going to paint the wheels separate and put them on later. The next ones, I need to make two of these. But if we look at these, there's a problem with this one. Let's take a look at the parts. And I'm going to cut out those parts right there. So we've got this one. So when you put these together, so just holding those together, notice we have all of these little brace struts bars here. These areas here and here and here and here, well, those should all be cut out on the real thing. Something that small, if I tried to cut all that out, it'd be a disaster. However, if you look at photos of the real thing, now I have to excuse me because my printer ran out of ink. That's the real thing. So that doesn't look like that. Notice there's one here. Actually, there's two. With a side view here, it's kind of hard to tell, but on the side view, that's one bar across the top. So that's just one bar. There's two here, two here, two here, and two here, because it kind of spreads out at the bottom. So that's what it's supposed to look like. Not that. Plus, one more big glaring difference. Again, my printer ran out of ink right at the end here. But look how many wheels there are, right? There's 6. 4. Yeah, this is completely wrong. So what I'm going to do is I really want it to look more like this. Now, maybe this was an actual thing. Maybe they did have them that looked like this, but I can't find a picture of a real one. I did an image search, you know, like one does, and I spent at least 2 or 3 minutes like looking at images, and I did not find a single one like this. Every single image I saw was like this. Plus, the photos that my friend sent me from when he served on the Nimitz, one of those photos has this kind of in the background. So even if there was some like this years ago, when my friend served, this is what was on it. So I'm going to try to, I'm going to do my best to try to make it look more like this. Now, I'm not going to go for full exact detail. I just want it to be more representative of this. Now, also on eBay, I did find there's one seller on eBay who has a kit for this exact one. It was kind of hard to tell exactly what's in the kit because it was just computer-generated images of the thing with different parts and different colors. And it said in the title like photo etch set, but then it looked like in the drawings that there were some resin pieces. There wasn't an actual photo of it, so I didn't know exactly what you would get in the kit. Not only that, it was $35 and you only get one. So I don't know. Maybe I would have bought it if it would have been $20 for both. Again, I'm kind of cheap, but yeah, so I'm just going to do my best to make this from the parts that I have. Now, where I have already started, I already glued a pair of those together and started working on it. And this is what it's looking like so far. Not done yet. But again, I'll just hold this one here for comparison. Basically, what I did was I took a Dremel tool with a little bit and I just started cutting out those areas there. You'll notice it's a little bit wavy and wonky. I have some ideas on how to fix that. But this is the one where it's just one bar. You can see that seam where the two halves are glued together. So I'm going to use some putty across the top of that to make it look like one bar. And also I need to fix that so it's not so wavy and wonky. Maybe some more putty on the bottom. You can see starting to cut out here for the 2 bars there. Same thing here. I still got a lot of cutting here to do and here, and I still have to remove all of that. So we'll just kind of keep working with this and see how it looks. But to the naked eye, at 2 feet away, it looks pretty good. You zoom way in, and it looks like crap. So, so yeah, like I said, we'll keep working with that. Now, the other issue is the main rest of it. Not sure if you call that the body or the cab or whatever. But let me just go ahead and cut this out. So here's the kit provided part. The crane part will go in right about there. So that would just glue in right about there somehow. And again, looking at the reference, the main crane should attach way further forward. I could just try and build that all from scratch, or I could try and just cut apart and modify the kit piece. I'm still deciding on how I want to go about doing this, but that's where I'm at. I'm not going to make you watch me think about this for the next 2 hours. I'm going to come up with a plan and go for it, and I'll come back and have you see what I'm doing. So yeah, I'll get back to you here in just a little bit. All right, so here's one of them. I've got it all carved out, sanded, puttied, and then a coat of gray primer. And so far, I'm thinking this one is looking pretty good now that it's kind of in focus. So I'm liking the way that one looks. And this is the other one that has just got the putty on it. This needs a little bit more sanding, and then it'll be ready for some primer. And again, I'm just taking my time with the X-Acto blade and the sandpaper and the white putty. And what I do is I'll brush a little bit of solvent on it, then I'll put the putty on it, and then I'll use a solvent brush to like spread the putty around, and that will thin the putty down and make it spread on a lot smoother and makes it a little less lumpy and easier to sand later. So this one's almost ready for paint, and this one is ready to go onto the model. Now, as far as the model goes, I've been studying this and several other reference photos, comparing it to what's in the kit, and obviously they're quite a bit different. And I've been trying to decide how I want to make this. And so what I did was, well, first off, I don't want it to be any bigger than this. I want to keep the proportions and the scale kind of the same. So I started with a piece of square styrene, which is a little narrower than that. And I cut a piece off about the same length. I just cut it off about the same length of that. And that's just going to form the base of the vehicle. And when you look at the photos, you'll notice that it's actually made up of a lot of tubing. And you've got this box on this side. Now the other side does not have that box. It's just open tubing. And so for that simulated tubing, I've been using this. It's just a strip of, let me get a longer piece. It's just styrene. It's kind of rectangular. I don't have round, but at this scale, I don't think it's going to matter any. So I just take pieces of this and glued it onto the side. So this is what I've got so far. There's one side, there's the other side. And so this, if we compare with our photo here, that is that without the wheels and the cabs and the thing. So again, this will be, that'll be on here about like that. And for the box on the side, again, I took a little piece of the square tubing and I glued on a top and a bottom out of some styrene sheet and made a box. To make it more rectangular in profile, I just put another piece of just some styrene, scrap styrene sheet there. And so that'll be that box on the side. And then for the cab on top, you'll notice the front windscreen is angled down a little bit. I basically just made another box like that. and then started carving out the windshields. And to get that front angle, I basically just glued on a piece of styrene and then sanded it. You know, I did that just to make it thicker so I could sand it at that angle. And then went in and started carving out with an X-Acto blade. That's the back window, front window. And so basically, that will be like that. Something like that. And it's kind of hard to hold all that together, but I think you get the idea. But that is that. Now there's this thing back here that's just a bunch of like weight to counterbalance this. So when you have a heavy load here, this is weighted. So I still need to make the weight thing back here. I still need to make the spool for the cables that go along here. So there's a spool that with some straps that get attached to that, a spool for the cables here. There's another like a pulley here. So the cable for the hook wraps around and comes down this way, around and back. I'll probably make the cable out of just some thin single strand copper wire. Like, I don't know, like 30 gauge copper wire or something like that, just to make the cable. And also, you know, just to help with proportions, I made sure that the cab was approximately the same size as the cab on that vehicle. That way I know I'm not making it way too big or way too small. So scale-wise, I think I'm in the ballpark. Now, I'm not taking exact measurements and exact angles. I'm just trying to make something that looks like this. It's not exact, it's not perfect, but at the scale, it's going to be good enough. And I wanted it to have the same level of detail as the kit itself. In other words, if I were to make it exactly like this with every single little piece and every single little minor detail, that would be at a much higher level of detail than the rest of the model, and it would look out of place. So I'm trying to match the level of detail to everything else on the model. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, as far as the wheels go, if we take a look at the kit wheels, there's 3 of them here and 1 here. If we take a closer look, so part 64, those 3 and that one, those 3 are a little bit different from that one. The hubcap is smaller on this one. So, you know, for this particular, what I'm building, 3 of the wheels will go along that side and 3 on the other side. But for now, you know, I just wanted to show you what it's looking like now before I get too far along, just so you can kind of see the process. And it's just cutting and gluing pieces together until it looks kind of like the photo is all. Let's see. So I'm going to keep building on this. I'm going to put those on. I'll make the weight for the back, whatever other details I want. Figure out how to attach this and the cables and then the wheels. And I'll just show you what that looks like when it's all done. All right, this is what that's looking like so far. And so I added those for the cables. And again, that is to look like the photo here. And I added the drum along the back here for those cables to go around. And I added some braces and a little pulley or a simulated pulley right down there. Again, all referencing the photos here. It's not perfect for this, but I'm happy with it. I think it looks close enough. Obviously, there's no wheels on it yet. I'll paint the wheels and put those on later. But for now, this part of it is going to be done. The next step is to paint it. And I'll do the windows with the crystal clear. And then I'll put the wheels on. Now, I also said earlier that I couldn't find any reference photos of what this thing was supposed to be until like earlier. I did find, after several more seconds of searching, I found this picture. And that right there matches this. Keep in mind, that had the little molded in details for all those extra little supports, all those extra little bars there that I cut out. And I'm thinking maybe that is supposed to be that. I mean, the cab is too far forward. The where the boom connects is too far back, because that boom connects right there. and should connect right on the front, right above the front wheels. Also, this steers, it looks like it steers by pivoting here, and this isn't like that. So this is closer to what the kit provided than this. And I showed this image to a friend of mine at work who served on the Eisenhower, and he recognized that right away. He said they had one of those on the Eisenhower. He did not recognize this at all. He had never seen one of those. So I'm kind of wondering if maybe this was an original equipment and then he upgraded to something like this. But he also said there was only one of these on board, not two like the kit has. So in all the other pictures that I've seen of this, there's only one. So unless somebody tells me otherwise, I'm going to assume that the Nimitz has one of these and that's it. So I'm not going to build this one. I'm not going to use this. And I'm not going to build a second one of these. So I'm just going to use the 3 of those wheels here and then the 3 on the other tree. Keep in mind there's enough parts to build 2 of those vehicles, so that means there's 8 wheels total. So I'll use 6 of those 8 wheels. So for now, this one is done waiting for paint and wheels, or install the wheels, paint and install the wheels. And so, and also, I still have not seen a reference photo of the first vehicles that I made in the last video. This crane truck right here. I've still not seen an actual photo of that real crane truck in real life. So I don't know. I mean, there's 2 of them. I guess I'll put them, I'll use them. I'll put them in there. But yeah, this one is now that one, and there'll only be one. The next thing are the little fork trucks right down here. I need to make 8 of them. I already made 1. There's the little fork truck. So I need to make 7 more and paint them. And now these had the wheels already molded on. Wheels already molded on, so I can't paint those separate. I'll have to just hand brush those after I paint the whole thing later. So yeah, there's the tiny little fork truck. And then also, I need to make 8 tugs. And so there's 4 of them here, 4 on the other tree, and then the wheels for those are here. Those are the only parts. You got the body, you got the wheels. So really the only thing I got to do is glue the wheels onto the body after they're painted, so I'm not really going to show you that. And also, finally, there's this thing here. Not quite sure what it is. I started that already. So you've got that piece with the 2 little things on it. That's what that looks like. That'll get glued into the middle of that frame. And then another one for the end, a little hole there for the little rod to go in. And then that one. And again, that's just a couple pieces glued on. So those are ready to glue onto this frame here. And then that little stick gets glued in. And then that'll be done. Not sure what that is, but that's that. So what I'm going to do is paint everything, put the wheels on, and then come back and show you everything all done and painted. And then that'll probably wrap up this video. Next video will be the aircraft. So I'll get back to you here in just a minute. Okay, so I've been painting all these vehicles. Here's the crane, and so that got painted white. I went ahead and put some black wash on it just to try and bring out some of the details and darken up some of the inside areas. And I think that's looking pretty good. I think I'm happy with that. I'll do the windows here in a minute, and then later on I'll add the thread for the cable, and obviously the wheels will go on a little bit later. I also painted the tugs. There are 8 tugs. They just got painted white. I'll go in later and paint the seat black, and I'll put the wheels on later. So there's 8 of those. And there's this thing painted white. I still have to paint the wheels. Probably paint those black or something. I'm not sure what this is. If anybody can tell me what this is, please let me know. And if there's any other details or colors I should put on that, I'll put a wash on it as well too. And also these trucks, just stuck them to some tape and painted those yellow. I'll go back in with some washes and other details and stuff a little bit later, and of course the wheels. So there's 2 of those. And then the fork trucks, 8 fork trucks, and there's 4 of them on a stick that got painted yellow. I'll go back later and paint the actual forks and that back guard there black. And I'll also try to paint the seat and the steering wheel black. I don't know how well that's showing up. But just for painting, I put 4 on a stick here. Oh, and I need to paint the wheels. These had the wheels all molded in. So I'll go in and hand brush the wheels, black or rubber color or something. And I had the other 4 on this stick, but one of them fell off. So here's just a closer view of the fork truck. Again, not completely done yet, but just the first bit of painting there. As far as the wheels go, there's 3 of the wheels for that guy, and the wheels for the tugs. What I did, man, that's hard to get that in focus. I went in with an X-Acto blade and thinned up where the sprue connects, so it'll be less cleanup when I cut them off. And also on these, there's a piece of sprue connecting them, so I cut those off and then sanded the tires smooth there. And again, there's a piece of sprue connecting here, so I just cut those. So there's only one connection point. And again, I cut it down thin, so it'd be easier to clean up once I cut that off than just be a little bit of paint to touch up. I also have to paint the actual wheels. Obviously, that black is for the tires. I'll paint the wheels after they're attached to the vehicle. So the wheels for these will be yellow, the wheels for the tugs, and these will be white. But again, there's all the tires and wheels painted black. So just a lot of assembly work going on. Well, paint work on the assembled parts. For the windows on this thing, I want to try the crystal clear, but I think I want to try to tint it with just a little bit of green. Hopefully give those windows just a slight green tint. One of the images I looked at kind of looked like they might have been tinted green. I don't know if that's correct or not, or if it's just the way it was reflecting off of something, but I want to try to tint those green. So I'm not sure what that is. I got it with some other stuff, but I'll put some crystal clear in this. And I have this clear green. I'm just going to put a little drop of this in it. And I honestly don't even know if this is going to work or not. That might have been way too much. That window might be too big for that to work. Oh, there it went. So when that dries, it'll dry clear and tinted green, hopefully. We'll find out. That window might be just a little bit too big to do that too. It looks like it might pop in the middle there. I might have to put I might have to put some more in once that dries. Try the front window. And if it looks like crap when it's done, I can always cut it out and do something different. We'll come back and take a look at this when that's all dry, see what it looks like. There's that back grille detail. I think it's my favorite part of this whole thing. Now I still need to drill holes in here for the axles and the wheels. I'll do that later when I put the wheels on. But I'm just going to let that sit and dry. Yeah, it looks like it's going to pop. I'm just going to let this thing sit and dry, see how it works. Like I said, I'll put the cables on. I'll just use some thread and I'll paint the thread kind of a steel color and just put it around there and coming up to the hook. I'll just show you what it looks like when I'm done with it. But that's that so far. Okay, I'm going to say the vehicles are done. So let's just take a look at each one of them. Before I really start taking a look though, I just want to show you for the tires. I painted the tires. This is called flat rubber. And this is supposed to look like rubber. But I found that this is almost a little too brown for tires, in my opinion. So I mixed this with some black. So this is about a 50-50 mix of rubber and black, and that gave me a better color. And also, before I really get into it, I just want to clarify that I know the difference between a wheel and a tire. So just to make sure there's no confusion, anytime I say tire, I'm going to be referring to the outer part painted with that black rubber color, unless I'm talking about the whole wheel tire assembly. And when I say wheel, I'm talking about the center part that will either be painted white or yellow, unless I'm talking about the whole wheel tire assembly. So hopefully that clears up any confusion as I'm talking about these. For the tugs, each tug has one piece for the body and then the 4 wheels put on separately. So I painted the wheels first with the black rubber color, and then I went in with some white and painted the wheels separately. Now I just realized I'm not done. I have to go back in and sand off the little nubbin from where the tires were connected to the sprues. Now there's 8 of these tugs, and each tug gets 4 wheels. So that's 32 total. Plus there's 8 fork trucks, which have 4 wheels. And there's 2 of these that have 4 wheels each. And then plus that other vehicle that has 6 wheels. So keep in mind, there's about 78 wheels that I had to paint or put on or do something with. And that was just way too tedious and time consuming. Anyways, I also painted the seat black. I put a gray wash on the floorboard and a gray wash around the hood panels, or the hood panel. So that's it for the tugs. Again, 8 of those. Next up are the fork trucks. And so these are made up of the body, which had the wheels molded on with them, and the roll bar, or the roll cage, which had the forks on them, then a separate little piece in front of the roll cage, and then the steering wheel, which was kind of ridiculous. So anyways, all that got painted yellow, and then I had to go in with a tiny little brush and paint the rubber color around for the tires. 32 times. Some of these came out really nice, others close enough. But yeah, you can imagine that was a pain in the neck, painting all those tires. So again, there's 8 of those fork trucks. Next up, we have 2 of these types of crane vehicles. Again, painted the wheels with the black rubber color and then painted the center part, well, the actual wheels with the yellow. Put in just a dark wash for the windows and then put in crystal clear to make the windows shiny like windows. Did a wash on the rear grille. Did a wash around the door and the steps. Painted red, the little red reflectors there. I'm assuming they're supposed to be red. I never saw an actual photo of this actual vehicle for real life. So I don't know exactly what this is supposed to look like. So I just kind of used my imagination and did what I thought looked right. So there's 2 of those. And then finally this one, which I had the reference photo. And I put the cables on, which is 30 gauge copper wire that I painted silver, or steel color actually, not silver, but a steel color. Ran the cable up there to the hook. I got the windows put in with crystal clear. And I used the kit wheels and tires that were supposed to be for this vehicle that I'm not using. And now that it's all done, there's just something that doesn't quite look right about it. I think the whole thing's a little bit too long, but I used the same dimensions as the kit one for the other style of that type of vehicle. As far as length and width, it's a little bit taller, obviously. But I think I made it too long. It's really hard to tell. I don't think it looks terrible, but at the same time, I don't think it looks right. But, and even the wheels, the kit wheels, I made those a little bit bigger. When I first started putting them on, I thought they looked way too small. So I just cut a little piece of tubing off and put it around the wheels. And so I made the wheels a little bit bigger in diameter. I think it's okay enough that it's usable. I don't know. I'm going to call it done for now, but if it bothers me, the more I look at it, then maybe I'll try to figure something out to do with it. I don't know. I don't even know how to fix it. It's like close enough that I can't quite exactly tell what's wrong. I just know that it doesn't quite look right. And like I said, I think it's just too long. But I really don't want to start that over and make it again from scratch. So I'm calling it done for now, and we'll just see how much it bugs me later on in the future. But those are the vehicles. So this video is going to be done because it took way too long to get out, and it's probably way too long. I'll get a final shot of all of these setting on the deck. But in the next video, we will finally start on the aircraft. And then we're getting pretty close to being done with this whole project. So let me put these on the deck and get some shots of that, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, I think this is a little bit blurry, trying to zoom into that. But there's the little dolly for the four trucks, other four fork trucks, the crash crane, the 8 tugs, and then those other 2 crane trucks there. So yeah, trying to zoom in and get a clearer view of that. My camera is really not that good for that. But that's all the vehicles done. All right, so anyways, at this view, at that angle, that thing doesn't look too bad. It looks better than just looking at it laying on its side. So that's not too terrible, but yeah, I don't know. It's going to have to be good enough because I really don't want to remake that. But anyways, there's that. That's what it's looking like. So like I said, I'm going to end this video here because it's way too long. Next video will be all of the aircraft, or starting the aircraft. I'd like to get them all done, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So until next time, as always, thanks for watching.